Welcome back to the Young Turks. Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur with you. We have an awesome hour ahead for you guys. My favorite story of the day is a woman in Georgia who has a response to Representative Bobby Franklin's proposal to force women to file a police report as soon as they miscarry. Okay, her response I think is brilliant. It's funny, and I think it's great. So we're going to do that story and more later. But first, I want to say hi to Cenk. What's going on, Cenk?
What's going on, Casper? You've become quite the MSNBC star, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I was on MSNBC yesterday for a minute and a half. It's amazing how much production goes into a single minute of a television show. It's incredible. But
it is.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a good thing. But you know, it definitely takes a lot of work to put a television show together. It's a lot more laid back when you're doing internet TV. But it's two completely different beasts. So they both have two different types of entertainment value. Anyway, I'll talk about that a little more today in the post-game show, including things that went right and things that went wrong yesterday. So we'll have that. All right, but first I want to start off with a story that I read this morning, and it really inspired me, and I really loved it. I wanted to share it with you guys. It has to do with a 26-year-old writer by the name of Amanda Hawking. She actually had a dream of publishing books and making a living off her novels. So she went to several publishing companies in New York, and every single one of them turned her down. They're like, nah, sorry, you're a 26-year-old, you don't know what you're doing, we're not publishing your work. So you would think most 26-year-olds would give up, okay? Or maybe continue working on their writing, but put it off for a while and do other things. Who knows? I mean, that's extremely discouraging to have the top publishers tell you that your work is not worthy. But this woman goes online and she publishes her books on Kindle ebook, right? She writes 9 books, and she has already sold 900,000 copies of those 9 books. She is now a millionaire. Get it? Get it.
No. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love this story. I love this story so much because look, this is a story that all of you guys can, listen to and use for your own lives, right? Everyone is going to try to discourage you in your career path. Everyone's going to tell you you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not good looking enough, all of this crap. All you need to do is give them the middle finger and say, you know what, I'm going to make my dreams come true, and then you're going to suck it.
I love Anna's strategy, but at the end, make sure you tell them to suck it. By the way, Marshawn Lynch had, what some people think was the greatest run in NFL history. He plays for Seattle. That happened in this year's playoffs. There's a theory that as he was diving into the end zone, he grabbed his crotch and said, "Suck it." No, I'm serious. That's a real theory. And people have rewound the tape, and you see him grabbing his crotch and stuff. Oh, how much is he a man after your own heart, Anna?
Oh, absolutely. I love that. I love that. And look, I'm actually in favor of being a little more diplomatic, right? It's always nicer to succeed when everyone is denying you that success, right? And then be gracious about it, be humble, yada, yada, yada. But in your mind, you're thinking, what now, bitches? Like, I love her story. Honestly, I read it this morning, and it just, for some reason, it just really, really inspired me because you just don't give up. You don't give up. People are always going to discourage you. People are always going to say negative things to you, but that's because they're haters. They don't want you to succeed, okay? So don't listen to them. Do what you're going to do.
And listen, the reason I love the story, among other things, of course, all the things that you stated, but it's totally TYT style. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a speech I give to, college campuses and whenever they have me speak in different places. Just do it, man. Don't wait on permission. Don't wait on anybody to tell you. Don't wait on a program director or somebody else that's official or empowered to say you can or you're good enough or this or that. Look, it's the age of the internet. Just take action. And when you do, it's amazing what you can do. Okay, you got to believe in yourself. You got to work really hard. You don't just, okay, I'm on the internet. That's it. Oh, what? Success didn't come? No, you got to really bust your ass as she did.
No, but if
but at
ever,
the end, when you do, you can accomplish anything. It's true.
yeah, and if ever there was a time to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish, that time is definitely now with the internet. I mean, the internet has revolutionized everything, every single field of work, okay? Whether it's journalism, whether it's, being a novelist, whether it's, being a musician, the internet has changed everything, okay? If you want to write a book, you no longer have to wait for that permission. You no longer have to go to those publishers in New York and beg them to publish your book. You just go online and you let the people decide. And that's what I love. So,
yeah.
Very inspirational story.
I don't know if you know this, they're starting revolutions online. Like,
yeah,
literally.
Of course, yeah.
They're changing the world. So I'm telling the audience, but listen, one more important thing on that. And the main thing for her, and I think the main thing for a lot of people when you start, is what Anna was talking about in the beginning. It's persistence. You can't just assume oh, I'm online and I put up a Facebook post, so come on, where's my millions, right? It's a lot of really hard work, and you gotta, when faced with the obstacles, keep getting beyond them and go through a lot of crap to get to where she got to. But if you're willing to do that and you're willing to have that persistence, that's the #1 trait you need to succeed, especially in this day and age. Then you can do it.
Absolutely. Get it. All right, now let's go to the most disgusting man in Michigan. His name is Steve Demick, and he has just been found guilty of preying on women and children on the internet. So what this guy would do is he would go to a website called singleparentmeet.com, and he would pose as a single father who's a psychologist, right? And he would look for single mothers and somehow convince them to perform sexual acts on their own children through a webcam. Okay, so this guy would watch it, he would watch it and he would get off. The most disgusting, despicable guy on the freaking planet. Okay, so he did this to several different people. In fact, 7 children were involved, and because of this, 3 different women have also been arrested. So he's found guilty, and he hasn't been sentenced yet, but his sentence could range from 15 years to life in prison. I say you lock him up, you put him in there for life, okay? One of the women had an autistic child, and it was an autistic child that he said was going to have issues developing, his sexuality. So this guy told the woman, oh, you need to perform sex acts on your child so he knows how to develop correctly when it comes to his sexuality. And she fell for it. She did it on the webcam.
Now, there were a lot of women who fell for it, unfortunately, which I'm, always surprised by. And the kids aged in range, if you thought it was bad enough, wait till you get a load of this, from the age of 3 to 15. What are you doing? What are you doing? And, these women, I guess they're incredibly desperate. And he put up a picture of him, not of himself, of course, but of apparently a really good-looking guy, and said he was really well-educated.
He took pictures of male models, and he used them on his profile.
Yeah, and he told some of the women, if you do this, I'll go out on a date with you. No. Look, first of all, whenever anybody shows you a picture online, it's not true. It's not them, especially if they're asking you to do something crazy on a webcam. Look, on Facebook, yes, you meet a girl, you meet a guy, and it's their picture. Yeah, probably 8 out of 10 times it is, right? But when a guy's asking you to do something weird and perverse and he shows you a picture, it's not him. And it's also not her. Sometimes guys pretend to be girls when they're 48-year-old dudes in a basement. Don't fall for it. And second of all, what are you doing to your own kids?
I know.
I mean, I think it speaks to their desperation in such a sad and sickening way.
No, you're right, Cenk. And, when I read this story, you feel really guilty because in this case, the women are victims and you don't want to criticize the victims and make them out to be the bad guy. But you have to have better judgment, okay? Some random person on some singleparentsmeet.com website tells you that you need to molest your own child because that's going to help with their psychological development. I mean, how does that make any sense at all? You got to think for yourself a little bit. So if some dude online tells you that you need to drive your car off a cliff, are you going to do that too? Because it's going to help, I don't know, better your life in some way? it amazes me how many gullible people there are on the planet. People who will listen to anything anyone says on the internet and actually go out there and do it.
You know, a grandmother in, I believe, Idaho eventually exposed this whole thing because she saw her daughter, you know, going along with this stuff, and she called the police, and police found out, of course, it was this guy, and that he'd been doing it to many women in many different states, and obviously he was totally lying. And look, the other terrible, and I'm so glad that the grandmother in that case found out what was happening, the mom of the woman being, you know, tricked. Because look, once they realize they've been had, what are they going to do anyway? They're not going to turn themselves in, right? Mm-hmm. That's why this guy's plot could have gone on for a long time if someone didn't overhear it, right?
Right.
You know, and that makes it, you know, extra sick and stuff. Look, we just told you in the previous story about the power of the internet for great good. It also has the power for great evil like this. I mean, I sound like a comic book, but it's true, you know? Mm-hmm. And so as you take advantage of the great things that the internet has to offer, also, obviously, be a little careful. People are not necessarily who they say they are online. And if they're asking you to do anything on a webcam, an excellent idea is to say no in every instance.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I have a question for you, Cenk. So, as I said, his sentence could range from 15 years to life in prison. I honestly think he should serve the rest of his life in prison because these are kids, at least 7 of them, between the ages of 3 to 15 years old, that were sexually molested because of this guy, okay? I don't even understand how it could be between 15 to life in prison. 15 sounds insanely low to me. What do you think?
Look, there's going to be a range of factors. You know, is it his first offense? Yeah, it's his first 7 offenses, right, that we caught, let alone all the other ones he might have done. But they're going to take that into account. You know, they're going to say, well, he didn't do the molesting. His defense attorney is going to say that. Mm-hmm. You know, the other people were, you know, volitional actors. They had their own volition, and they could have chosen not to do it. He was just suggesting it. Yada, yada, yada. There'll be a million, you know, excuses, defenses, extenuating circumstances, whatever you want to call them. You know, for me, you know, it's as close to child molestation as you could possibly get, obviously. Mm-hmm. But he didn't actually do it himself. I don't know. 15 years, definitely. Life, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, he definitely has child pornography on his computer. So if he didn't molest himself, I mean, there's so much crap that they can get him on. I just think 15 years is so low. But I want to follow up on this and figure out what kind of sentence they give him. Hopefully the news reports on it.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the next story. Mm-hmm. Speaking of people who get tricked, there's a preacher by the name of Peter Popoff, and he lives in California, and he actually makes a pretty good living by convincing people to send him money so he can in turn talk to God and have God take care of these people's debt issues. All right, we have a local news report on this story. I want you guys to watch the video, and we'll talk about it a little more.
I'm telling you that God teaches in his word that he wants to cancel, erase, wipe out, obliterate your debts.
Peter Popoff has been preaching about God and money for decades. His shows that he pays BET and other cable and TV channels to appear on are non-stop crusades.
Not 90,000, 900! Oh, how many of you know that just burns the devil up?
About spirituality.
By and through the power of the anointing of the Holy Spirit, I decree that it's done in the mighty name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
But most of all, about helping people erase mountains of debt.
$10,000 miracle.
All my bills is paid and I got money to spare.
All my bills is paid and I got money to spare. Give the Lord a clap offering for that. Woo!
Popoff claims he's delivered miracles to hundreds of thousands of people supernaturally.
So Popoff sends his followers mail, as you can see here, tons of mail, including small vials of miracle spring water and debt cancellation kits. He then asks his viewers to send small donations, and in return, he promises, as a messenger of God, to unlock the secrets of financial security and wipe out all debt.
All right, so just to give you an idea of how much money this preacher makes, back in 2005, his ministries took in $23.5 million, okay? And when it comes to the amount of money he collects from these people, first it starts off with $20, $28, maybe $30, and then all of a sudden he starts asking for thousands of dollars. And people actually give him the money, thinking that he's going to talk to God and have God solve all their debt issues.
You know, in cases like this, I always wonder, if you could have Jesus magically make money for you, why doesn't he just magically make it for you? Why are you going and, you know, telling all these people? Now, of course, Popoff's answer to that will be, well, I want to help others. I don't want just Jesus making magic money for me. I want him helping others as well. But it's amazing. Look, how can people possibly believe this? Mm-hmm. How can, you know, I'm trying with every fiber of my being to say that they're not dumb. I don't know if it's the right word, ignorant. Is it gullible? Come on, Jesus isn't going to make you magic money. I mean, how obvious is that? But I guess the problem with religion is that once you believe that he can walk on water and that he rose from the dead and that he, you know, brought somebody back to life and he does all these magical things, well, why can't that guy make you magic money? And that's why hucksters and frauds like Popoff come in and think these are the perfect targets for my scam.
Yeah, and I don't think it gets any lower than Popoff, okay? Because he's preying on people who are desperate, people who are already in a terrible financial situation, and he's robbing them of whatever they have left. And then he does it all in the name of Christianity. Look, we talk about this all the time on the show. There's so many good Christians out there. There are good religious people out there. But then there are these bad apples that use religion and just completely run with it. And they use it for their own self-interest. And it's just disgusting. To know that there are so many people out there who buy into his BS and give this guy their money and go further into debt, it just drives me nuts. And you're right, people are gullible. You have to think for yourself a little more, okay? I know that this is a pessimistic way at looking at life, but people are driven by their own self-interests, okay? People aren't usually looking out for you. Maybe your family is, maybe your friends are, but aside from that, everyone's looking out for themselves. So don't believe things that people tell you. Don't fall for these crazy tricks.
And on the list of people not to trust is a guy who's telling you, top of the list is a guy who's telling you to do sex acts on a webcam. And right underneath him is a televangelist telling you he's speaking to Jesus.
Right.
Okay. Come on. It's so obvious. This guy in that same report from 2005, he gives himself a salary of over $600,000. His wife has a salary of over $300,000. His kids have salaries that are hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they're bleeding dry the people who are in the worst possible shape. Another woman in the report said, look, I was giving him $30, $40 on the desperate hope that he would make my debt go away. And then eventually they got to asking me for thousands of dollars after I'd already sent them $300 or $400. That's money they could have used to pay down their debt. Instead, of course, now in the end, a lot of these people, their debts probably did magically go away when they went broke and they just couldn't pay them. Now that destroys your credit forever and that puts you in a massive hole. But Popoff doesn't care. He suckered you and he got his money. Look, this guy's been a fraudster for a long time. This is just new scam based on everybody being in debt. Before, he used to do the old trick where his wife would talk to in his ear, and he has even admitted to having a hearing aid where she would say, all right, this lady has arthritis, pretend you just realize it, and he'll be like, oh, and I think you got arthritis, and Jesus is going to cure it. He's just an old school snake oil salesman, complete fraud.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a break. We got to take one. When we come back, we have one more person who got tricked on the internet. This story is still disastrous and a little terrible, but it's a little more humorous. So we'll be back with that story and more on the Young Turks. Welcome back to TYT. Anna and Cenk with you. All right, time to thank the best people on the planet, our members. All right, I'm going to thank two lieutenants today. I like their names. The first is David Champagne. Okay, I love that last name. I want to be Anna Champagne. Like, not to marry David Champagne and be Anna Champagne.
Yeah. I was going to say, you put yourself in trouble there.
Not like that, not like that. I mean, unless, you know. No, I'm just kidding. And I also want to thank Joey Blythe. I like that name too. So David Champagne and Joey Blythe, thank you for being lieutenants. And let's thank one more. How about Kayla Acebo? She is member 3063, and she joined up on December 6, 2010, which was fairly recently. So thank you for being members. You guys get the podcast. You will get to watch the post-game show today. We will talk about my last MSNBC appearance. In fact, we might even show the video. And I also want to talk about food terrorism. What is that? I have a story regarding food terrorism, and I think you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, you know, every time you mention these post-game stories, I get a little jelly.
As you should.
I'm like, man, I love that food terrorism story. I want to do the food terrorism story. All right, and by the way, I've decided Anna Champagne, totally a stripper name.
You're right. You're right.
Most obvious thing in the world. I can't believe you asked for that. And then, second of all, speaking of MSNBC, I want to remind everybody again, tonight at 6 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to interview Ron Paul. That's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's going to be a really good interview. By the way, guys, if you haven't been catching Cenk on MSNBC, you have to watch. I mean, I was talking to him about this yesterday. It just keeps getting better and better. He's getting more comfortable with the TV machine. He's becoming more himself, I think, which is extremely important. Like yesterday, I was watching the entire hour because I had to wait to do the last segment with him. But it was really good, Cenk. Like, you basically do what you do at the Young Turks, a little more professionally because you have to, but I like it. It's awesome.
My favorite phrase of the whole day now, TV machine. Here's what I will do with the TV machine. I will speak into it, and people will hear and listen to me.
Right, but it was good. It was a good show yesterday, and it's going to be even better today with Ron Paul. So you guys better check it out, 6 p.m. Eastern time.
Go.
All right, let's do a little Charlie Sheen now. So Charlie Sheen is still doing more interviews. He's talking to everyone on the planet. In fact, he just did an interview with Howard Stern. I haven't listened to that yet, but I plan on listening to it. But there is more information coming out from his interview from the Today Show. And I have a couple of his quotes that I wanted to share with you guys because I just think they're so comical and entertaining. So let's start with the first quote. He says, he talks about the women that he lives with, right? One of them is a former porn star. Another one was a former nanny/model. He calls them goddesses. And during the interview, he talks about them a little bit. He says, they don't judge me. They don't lead with opinion. They don't lead with their own needs at all times. They're honest enough to tell me, hey, look, you know, park your nonsense. You got to help me solve this. And we solve it. I don't know what that means, but the one thing that I will say is that if any man described me as someone who doesn't lead with her own opinion, I would take that as a little bit of an insult. Like, oh yeah, she sits back and lets me do whatever I want to do.
No. Again, I will rise to the defense of Charlie Sheen. Okay. What am I, Alex Jones? But anyway, look, if you're in a partnership, marriage, girlfriend, etc., obviously you have to compromise. Obviously you have to, both sides lead with opinion. You come to conclusions. It's a partnership, right? But that's not what Charlie Sheen has set up here. He's been married before. Apparently he didn't like it. What he set up is goddesses, porn stars, nannies, models that come in and that basically, take care of them, right? Mm-hmm. See, I think that's a different relationship. And if in that relationship you say, look, I'm not interested in you leading with your opinion, I'm interested in you leading with your breasts, well, that's the relationship that they've set up. Right?
And I'm sure these women have no problem with it. They're living in his multi-million-dollar mansion right now, which he refers to as the Sober Valley Lodge. He's probably paying for all sorts of lavish things. So, yeah, they're enjoying it. They don't care. Yeah, all right. Hey, I don't lead with my opinion. Who cares? That's probably what they're thinking.
And by the way, if he stays with them long enough and they turn into quasi-girlfriends, believe me, they're going to lead with their opinion. and then they're gonna, it's gonna develop into any kind of normal relationship because they're human beings. They're not gonna want to get rolled over all the time. They're gonna have their own priorities. It's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. And then, eventually, you think that there's some magical goddesses creatures that are never going that don't care about, their own needs, etc. No, of course not. At some point, they'll turn into quasi-girlfriends / quasi-wives, and then he'll get into fights with them, and there'll be more drama, and that's how it works.
He also says that when it comes to household decisions, everybody's vote has equal importance. But when we're approaching crisis, I remind them, look, I'm 20 years further down the road. My plan is going to be the best one in the room. So just trust me on that, and everybody will win. Everybody will win, and everybody's needs will be taken care of.
Yeah, I'm not sure Charlie's in a great position to be talking about how he's made brilliant decisions.
I know.
Further down the road, etc. On the other hand, he's a multi-millionaire who's had an amazing career, so maybe he is in that position.
Well, he's a multi-millionaire who was underpaid during 2.5 Men. You got to remember that, okay? They really, really screwed him over with that one. All right, and then finally, this is my favorite quote of all time. It keeps getting better, but here it is. As for life in the house, it's perfect, it's awesome. Every day is just filled with just wins. All we do is put wins on the record books. We win so radically in our underwear before our first cup of coffee, it's scary. People say it's lonely at the top, but I sure like the view. I don't know.
Come on,
that quote actually made me like him a little bit because it's so hilarious.
No, I was going to say, Anna, you can't. Look, at some point you got to, give in a little bit and go, all right, the dude's at least funny. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and he might have 100 different problems, and obviously he does, right? But that quote about being full of wins before coffee, come on, that's Charlie Sheen, literally for the win.
All we do is put wins in the record books. I mean, that's the kind of life I want to live. So I like that quote. That's a quote that I want to live by.
And let me tell you something. For all the crazy things that he's done, and I know he's done some wrong things, obviously, right? He is, to some degree, living the dream. I mean, how many guys in the country want to be living with nannies and porn stars and models, these goddesses that go around their house, dated and married some of the hottest women in the country, and that chalk up win after win and put them on the record books before breakfast? Out of the 150 million guys in the country, approximately 150 million of them want to do that.
Right. Okay, I got to do one more story because I promised it to you guys. It's the cast of Dancing with the Stars. So they just released the list, and bloggers are apparently really upset about it because they claim that none of the stars are actually stars. But isn't that the case with every season? Anyway, let me read you the people who will be on the new cast. The first person is Kirstie Alley. So we all know who Kirstie Alley is. And then boxer Sugar Ray Leonard. There he is.
Yeah,
There's Sugar Ray throwing punches.
Oh, okay, by the way, I love how Anna's like, this boxer named Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah, everybody knows Sugar Ray Leonard. Yes.
Okay, calm down. I know who he is too.
Oh, sure.
All right, TV talk show host Wendy Williams. She's another person who will be on the new season of Dancing with the Stars. And also the original Karate Kid. His name is Ralph Macchio.
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 Yeah. So look, since Anna's 24, you don't remember the original Karate Kid, right?
I do remember it. It took place in Reseda.
Oh, that's why.
Right.
That's why. Okay. So but there's no reason why you know how to pronounce Macchio as an example. And so, but so far these four, they're 4 for 4. I think those are real stars, whether they're old school or whatever it might be.
Right, and another one is Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Hines Ward.
Oh, he's Super Bowl MVP. He's awesome. 5 for 5.
And then finally, there's Kendra Wilkinson, who was the former Playboy model and now married to Hank Baskett and does a reality show on ETV.
Go Kendra. Go Kendra. 6 for 6.
Look, if this is what my strategy would be if I were one of the executive producers on Dancing with the Stars. My strategy would be to go even lower, okay? So I would definitely include people like Anna Kasparian on the list, and because I mean you're bound for success if you do that. So
I was going to say, if they're not really getting real stars, I'm like, Anna, you're pretty close because, Anna's goal is to get on Dancing with the Stars. We're getting there. But so far, I think those 6, to be honest, are not bad. I think they're real. Who are the rest?
We also have, well, here's someone who isn't considered a celebrity. Psycho Mike from K-Rock. He does Love Line with Dr. Drew. I know him really well. I listen to his radio program every morning. I think he's hilarious. But people are upset about that because they're like, how is he a star? Also, rap artist Romeo and an actress from the Disney Channel known as Chelsea Kane. So, I mean, she's from the Disney Channel. People know her.
Look, the last 3 are a little schwang-wang-wang, but I think they're riding them too much. I mean, I get why they're on there. Disney Channel, does a show with Dr. Drew, the other guy, and the other ones. It's fine. I pardon them. Dancing with the Stars, you're pardoned.
Oh, thank God. Are you not merciful?
That's how I roll.
All right, guys, that does it for today's show. Stick around if you're a member because there will be a post game, and make sure you watch Cenk tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. We'll see you tomorrow.